Hello and welcome. I am Triple Helix and this is Call of Duty Ghosts and my first impressions of it. Just so you guys know, this game is free on Steam for a weekend and 50% off, but I do not recommend buying it. I'll just say that right off the bat, and for multiple reasons. Now, before we actually dive in, I'm going to do what a proper PC gamer should do and show you the options. There's options there. There's 1080p, full screen. There's colorblind. I don't know why they still have that. Apparently a lot of colorblind people pay this. I've turned graphics settings significantly down because one fault with this game is that the frame rate is abysmal. Thankfully, they did not have an FOV slider on launch, but they do now, which is definitely nice. There's other options, and they can only go up to extra. The game does not look particularly great, though. It looks okay, but not anywhere near what it's trying to be or what the performance of it suggests. Optimal video, that just does stuff. There's voice options. There's my voice. There's text chat, push talk, all that stuff. Controls, all remappable, which is definitely nice. And you will be remapping these. If you're a PC gamer by heart, you will be remapping these. They're not very good PC controls, in my opinion, anyways. So I guess we'll just dive in and I can detail my sort of things with it. Although first, I should probably go to create a soldier. There's this new system where you can basically create your soldiers and, I guess, unlock people for certain things, but I don't find a need for this because I generally just play on my own. I don't usually like trying to strategize and play squads. I don't play Call of Duty to be tactical and that stuff. I play it to be stupid and just have fun. One thing that I do like that they've added is now you can just unlock whatever you want, whenever you want. You just basically purchase it with the use of squad points. I don't know how you get these squad points. They just sort of show up at the end of matches. And then you can use them to unlock stuff so you can just get whatever, stuff you want at the very beginning as opposed to like playing through the entire game just to get to your C4 or something. So that's definitely nice. And also the characters are customizable as far as I know, which is definitely cool. But now we'll just dive into standard TDM because why not? As far as I know, there's already people talking. That's fantastic. Is there any way to mute all? I do not know. I guess I'll just work on muting everybody slowly. Does M mute? No, it doesn't actually. It's toggle mute for everybody. That's fantastic. But as far as I can say, basically, there's a variety of game modes, which is nice, typical of Call of Duty. Multiple game modes, and they're all relatively varied, which is always a nice thing. I think that probably my biggest problem with this game, actually I have a few problems with this game and I'm going to probably talk about all of them, and I'll talk about this one first. I will say this game is a 24 gigabyte install. 24 gigs. That is gigantic for the multiplayer section of a game. That's bigger than Battlefield, or about the same size as Battlefield 4. For 24 gigs. That's absurd. For the level of texture detail that we're looking at here, it's not even remotely necessary. It's a gigantic install for this sort of game. So if you're the kind of person who has trouble with hard space, disk space, this is a big game. And unnecessarily big, in my opinion. The maps have gotten bigger, but not pretty much unnecessarily so. They don't need to be as big as they are, in my opinion, because it just delays the action and you end up seeing less people. I've always been a fan of the smaller maps of Call of Duty because it's a fast-paced thing. Load times, not great, but they could be worse. Thankfully, we're in now. We can just play. Oh, actually, I've just noticed. I was about to say that I think that a problem that I usually have is not a problem anymore. But, nope, never mind. There it goes. So, yes, you probably won't be able to see this, but you might be able to see a bit of stuttering. That's because, for whatever reason, when you first start this game up, when you first start up Call of Duty, for whatever reason, it just it tends to lag quite significantly when you first start it up for some reason or another, and I still cannot be sure why. I'm pretty sure it's just loading. It isn't for like a solid minute or so after I start, at least when I record with Fraps. I typically have frame rates jumping around, which, right there is a good example of why that's not a good thing, because right there it was jumping between 60 and 30. So when I was trying to aim at somebody, at one moment I was sliding across the screen with no problem, and then the next moment it was lagging a little bit, and then it's just not good. I'd be fine if it stuck to 30 or if it just loaded in completely, but sadly that's not the case. Oops. Sorry, I had a horrible fit of coughing right there. But as I was saying, yes, I am still sick. And you can probably hear my keyboard too, and it makes a lot of noise. So, have fun with that. But anyways, yes. The frame rate isn't good at all. And it's very annoying to have it fluctuate like it does. And it's not very easy. It's not very fun to have it load, the way it does. Eventually, it does stable out and just become, you know, a solid, like, whatever frame rate. So, it gets okay. Although, I do notice that it's running smoother. Because, for whatever reason, this game reset my, what's it called? I don't think it's reset my level. Nope, my level's the same. I should know that because my class hasn't changed. But, it reset my, ooh, hey there. I just got shotgunned. It actually reset my graphics options back to what they are default, or whatever it sees as optimal. I keep running into that guy with a shotgun. Whatever it sees as optimal. I'm not entirely sure why. I do know that this game does not look particularly good, and I would like to point out, I run Battlefield 4 on ultra settings. Am I drowning in the water? Apparently there's no gravity in water, that's cool. What is going on here? Alright, so apparently I just drowned. That is amazing. But yes, I can run Battlefield 4 at ultra settings at 60 frames a second, no problem. This game, I cannot run, like, not while recording necessarily. I can run Battlefield probably on high settings while recording. Now it's just, there's no excuse. Basically, this is a very unoptimized PC port. Personally, I think this is a very bad PC port, but I'll let you do with that what you will. Overall, I would not recommend this on PC, and would probably recommend it on consoles next gen, if at all possible. So yeah. But now more onto the gameplay side. It's typical Call of Duty. You know, you run around. Oops. That was terrible. You run around, you shoot people, and you die, and then you run around and shoot more people. It does seem to be trying to overcomplicate things, which isn't something I necessarily like. I sort of play Call of Duty for simplistic gameplay. I'm not playing it for, you know, a chess match. And while it might not necessarily be a bad thing, like, added complexity is good here and there, I think that this whole squad system, I don't think I'm going to be participating in it very much because I just find it utterly annoying and useless. More or less. But that's just my personal opinion. Another serious problem I have with this game, it somehow exploded there. I guess somebody tossed a grenade. Another big problem that I have, the points that pop up when you shoot somebody. I don't even know what those are supposed to represent. I'll just suddenly end up with like 500 or something, and it'll just be 500. It'll just say 500 for some reason. I killed a dog. Yeah, like that. Plus 200. I don't know what that 200 is. I've been knifed. I don't know what that 200 is. It's not score, because I currently only have 400 points, because I only have 4 kills. Is that a guy just running next to me? It was. Oh, he saw me. But yes. It just gives you points, and I don't know what they mean. They don't seem to correlate with experience. I could not tell you what they are. And just overall, that's a bit annoying, but it's a small thing. My other problem is that I don't know how to get squad points. That's also a bit of annoyance. I just feel like I get them every now and again. What else? They did fix knifing, which is something that I'm really happy for. Knifing isn't like the embarrassment that it was in the other game, where basically you have two dudes right next to each other just whiffing the air around them until one of them can luckily get a knife. The knifing in this game does have some tracking so that you can actually get kills with it. Sorry, I just broke out into another horrible coughing fit. I'm back now. So, yeah, overall, this game, in my opinion, is mediocre. Maybe worth, I think we lost. Yeah, we lost. Maybe worth the $40, maybe worth the $30 if you have it and you're really interested. But if you're curious, personally, I'd say wait until Titanfall, because that game is absolutely amazing and better optimized than this, actually. Titanfall is actually, the beta that I played was really good. I'm hoping that the game is exactly the same. But this is about Call of Duty, not Titanfall. So yes, typical Call of Duty, end of the game, you get a kill streak, stuff happens. There's that. I should talk about a bit about the guns. It seems to be primarily just typical Call of Duty stuff. They did add a new class of rifles called the Marksman Rifle, which is essentially just sniper rifles without a scope. As far as I can tell, they're just semi-automatic, sort of not quite snipers, but not really assault rifles. So variation is always nice. There's only one real standout map, and that standout map is the space. It's this one that's sort of set in the space station, and I personally don't really love it because as soon as I step anywhere, I'm going to get shot to death. Which in Battlefield works because you have time, when you get shot, you have time to react. In this game, you get shot, immediately dead. You have zero chance, which is a bit annoying. So the one map that I actually think holds some sort of interest to me actually doesn't have any real means of cover or protection and requires very careful movements without you dying, which Call of Duty is not meant for careful movements, I would like to point out. This game is supposed to be fast-paced and very action-packed, or at least very quick, more or less, where you're just shooting and respawning and then shooting again before you die. Wow, even in the midst of my horrible coughing fit, this game is still loading. But yes, basically, my biggest problems with this game are, first of all, it's horrible optimization. Primarily, it's a terrible PC port. And also, probably my biggest problem is that this is just more of the same. There is no real variation here. The guns are all generic military guns that you'd fired before in every other Call of Duty game that you've played. I would like to point out, I'm running this game it's running at 30 frames per second right now, dropping to 20, and so, like, that's really low for my computer. That's just abysmally low. Ah, there we go. That's a knife in the shoulder. Of course, that's where, you know, people's hearts are kept. Basically, the game is just... I saved this part for the last because I knew that this would pretty much be the whole thing. It's just Call of Duty again. This is just another Call of Duty game with slightly updated... with slightly updated graphics with some admittedly really low-res textures. Even on high, they don't look particularly good. Some even look like they've been ripped straight from the other Call of Duty games. And considering that this game ran at 720p on the Xbox One, I was like, oh, this must be a really good-looking game, a really taxing game. It is really taxing, not very good-looking. More the thing that really bothers me about that is just that it's the unoptimization. I know I'm all over the place here with the optimization and the whole gameplay, but the optimization is just really annoying. Oh, by the way, this is a bit of a destructible environment. You can shoot this tree. It's normally standing up and then it falls over. That's pretty much the extent of the destructible environments in this game. They're really more of a gimmick than anything else. I couldn't even see that guy. Yes, I would like to point out I am jumping between 20 and 30. No, I'm stuck at 20 frames a second right now about. I think it might be the game trying to render all of these shadows and record at the same time. There we go, back to 60. So yes, optimization is a problem. But aside from optimization, this game is buggy beyond all belief. And buggy in the worst way. I've had this game crash on me multiple times. Pretty much, I've started this game 3 times, I think. The first time I started it was when I first started playing it, so, you know, I didn't have time to ruin anything. The second time I started it, it crashed because I was trying to change graphics options. I tried to restart it. It opened up. It's like, do you want to boot the game in safe mode? I hit no. The game was loading. It opened up, and then it immediately crashed again. That counts as 1 start. The second time I started, I came back to start it up again to maybe play a little bit more before I recorded this video. And pretty much the exact same thing happened. I started it up. It's like, do you want to boot in safe mode? I'm like, nope. And it just crashed. So that was great. I got it working eventually, decided not to play because I was bored. I just messed around with the options so I could get the controls all to what I wanted them to be. And then I started the game for this, and it crashed once again. This game crashes almost every time it starts. That's really bad. Games are supposed to not, you know... I understand that there's glitches and bugs, like Battlefield 4 was really bad in that sense. It would crash just at the end of the match. But seriously, finish your game before you release it. Like, the crashing incessantly is ridiculous. And also, I want to point out, you may think I'm biased and just be like one of every other person on the internet who thinks Call of Duty is the worst thing to happen to humanity. Personally, I like Call of Duty as a series. I think that I loved Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Like, I started mainly with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I loved that game. I loved Black Ops. Modern Warfare 3 was a bit of a disappointment. Black Ops 2 I really loved. It was really trying to be innovative, and I really liked that. Still probably one of my most played games on Steam right now, just because of its fast-paced multiplayer, which I prefer over Battlefield's slower-paced multiplayer, considering it's like 30 minutes long. That was terrible. And then there's this game. It's just, this game isn't what I'd expect it to be from Call of Duty. I do like Call of Duty. I am the kind of person who enjoys playing that occasionally, like just to sit down and play a match or two and then, you know, go play another game or something. Like, just as a means of, like, I have a little bit of time to kill, let me just play around with Call of Duty or something. This is not something that I'd ever see myself playing, and this is not something I see myself buying. Personally, the way I've seen this and the way I've phrased this to multiple people who have asked me why I'm playing this, I basically say, this will hold me over for a weekend before Titanfall releases. That's essentially what it's become. It's really just waiting for Titanfall. There we go. Finally got a kill, even though it's just a dog. It's really just waiting for Titanfall to be released, because right now I don't hate this game so much. It's not that I hate this game. The really thing that I don't like about this game is just it is so bare bones in every regard. It's unoptimized beyond all belief. It's not made for PC even remotely. I don't know if you can see this, but basically I've been getting ridiculous screen tearing, which is just terrible for a game that's made nowadays. VSync is off, mind you, because I need to actually be able to record with some, you know, some frames per second, but overall I feel like there's just no reason for it to be running as loudly as it is. Oh, there's like 4 guys over there. But yeah, I can't really, there's not much more I can say about this game, so I'm going to wrap this match up and probably call it a day on this. There's probably stuff that I've missed because I'm not very good at detailing my opinions very effectively. I just sort of rant, which is probably what this is. And overall, I just feel like this could have been so much better, but it just wasn't. Infinity Ward used to be probably the better ones, and Treyarch used to be the sort of off-season Call of Duty producer guys. Now it's sort of turned the other way, considering that the other 2 left to go make Titanfall. Or that 2 of the main people behind this, behind Infinity Ward, left to make Titanfall. And one thing, I still have to praise this game a little bit. I do like the multiple, that you can unlock things whenever you want. I do like the maps that are a little bit more open. I do like that they've sort of improved the graphics a little bit. The game mode, I do like that they keep the varied game modes and stuff. I can't talk about the single player or anything because the free weekend only comes with multiplayer, and most people will be playing primarily multiplayer in Call of Duty anyways. So personally, I feel like this is that what I've played is probably a good representation of what Call of Duty Ghosts is going to be. Oop, that's a grenade. Couldn't quite make it. So, the knifing, I very much enjoy the fact that the knifing has been fixed. I do more or less, I don't know if the word is enjoy this game, but I do admire it for what it's trying to be, and I do, you know, somewhat. Oop, there's a guy over there. I missed. This is a grenade launcher. Probably the most ineffective grenade launcher you will ever see in a game ever. But yes, personally, I feel like this could have been so much more than it actually turned out to be. It could have been, you know, an actual really good... It could have been a really good game, but it just turned out to be mediocre. Not necessarily bad, but definitely not as good as I'd expected it to be. And I would definitely probably prefer to play Battlefield, and certainly I'd prefer to play Titanfall after just getting out of the beta of that. So, you know, not much else I can really say about this, except probably, unless you're really interested in this game, or you really love Call of Duty. If you've never played a Call of Duty before, I'd still recommend Battlefield. I'd still recommend Black Ops over this, but this is actually, I think, cheaper. I think Black Ops is still $60. This is only $30. So yes, if you want to give it a shot, you can download it now on Steam. I'll put a link in the description for those of you who are just want to go check it out. All it requires is a Steam account and, you know, 24 gigs of data. So more or less, probably, I'd say because it's free, you can go check it out. I definitely recommend checking it out. If you play it and you find that you like it, I'd say go for it. But if you're watching this video perhaps after the game goes off sale, or the game goes out of the free weekend, I don't recommend it necessarily, because it is very, very not made for PC. I'd probably recommend it on consoles, and if not on consoles, I'd just not recommend it at all. I'd recommend waiting for Titanfall, which I believe to be a vastly superior game, or just getting Black Ops instead, because that is also a vastly superior game. But anyways, I'll just leave the lobby here. I should actually, before I finish this, I should show off one more game. I'll play Gun Game, because that's actually a different one, and that's also something that I played in the video that I recorded, because there will be another video coming up soon about me just messing around, getting my actual bearings in this game because this is recorded after that video, so I could actually get some first impressions on it. So more or less, the game has varied game modes, which I definitely like. I don't know, again, I don't know what Extinction is like. I don't know what the single player is like. Single player, I'm going to assume, is sort of derivative and not really necessarily the point of Call of Duty, although it's typical Call of Duty. Call of Duty single players are usually kind of fun because they're just sort of stupid and out of the, just completely ridiculously unnecessary in every regard. In the good way, of course. But I don't know about this game because I haven't played it yet. But more or less, multiplayer-wise, this game could do better. I feel like Titanfall definitely outshines it. I feel like Black Ops outshines it with just everything. I feel like the maps in Black Ops generally are better. I really feel like the Black Ops is just a better game because they actually did try with their PC port. Ooh, walking into a wall. They definitely did try with their PC port, which is nice. And the biggest reason that I think the Black Ops is better, it's just because the weapons, in my opinion, are much more varied and much more fun than... Oof. Sorry, I'm trying to focus here because the frame rate is just absolutely abysmal right now. But generally speaking, the Black Ops just has better gun variety. Personally, I feel like this one's just generic assault rifles with scopes that I hate because they block off the majority of your vision. So yes, the gun variety isn't as good as my opinion. It feels much more generic and military E, which some people may like. But personally, I prefer, you know, the more ridiculous Black Ops 2 to like firing explosive tipped crossbows and knives and stuff, as opposed to this. Also, that was a good another good example of why lag is the worst, because even though I'm running at 30 frames per second, it was jumping between 60 and 30, making it impossible to aim. And yes, I will admit when I'm generally bad at aiming, but there's a difference between being bad at aiming and having a difficult time aiming because the frame rate is jumping around so much that you can't actually get your bearings. I hear somebody shooting at me, but I'm not sure where they are. There they are. People tend to blend in a lot better than they do in other Call of Duty, so that's always a fun thing. You're going to get shot to death a lot by people you don't even see that they're there. And you also get shot through glass, because that's just how that works. Don't even know who killed me there. So yes, in my opinion, as I've stated multiple times before, Call of Duty, it's just another Call of Duty. Oh, did he just knife me? What a jerk. It's just another Call of Duty, honestly. Which, again, isn't necessarily a problem, because personally I feel like if this had gone the route of Black Ops, it could have tried to innovate a little bit and make, you know, a better game, make it more varied, make it more interesting in some form or another. But instead they went to take the safe route and just go typical Call of Duty, which I don't really admire. I would have much more admired something a bit more interesting. Like, I like the way that Black Ops took the risk with its, you know, sort of somewhat branching story paths. I actually thought that was really cool. Did they just knife me? Probably. Oh no, they actually sniped me. That's interesting. That was just a leaf. But, yeah, overall, this game is disappointing. Not the Call of Duty I was hoping for. Not the Call of Duty that I really think will revive the series or prove to anybody that Call of Duty is dying. I personally, or prove to Call of Duty that Call of Duty just doesn't get old. I personally think this is a good example of why Call of Duty is... This is a good example of how the Call of Duty series is quickly dying. And I very much hope that... That was a horrible spawn. I personally hope that, you know, Treyarch can come up with something really nice in their next iteration of the series, because right now it's in need of some... definitely in some need of innovation. Or at least, at the very least, some fresh ideas. Because right now, it's a bit stale. Man, I just keep getting knifed by this guy. But right now, it's a bit stale. I'm hoping that we can see some changes. We can see some better Call of Duty overall. And just some better stuff. Because personally, I expect more from a AAA company, you know? I mean, in all honesty, I actually don't expect more. This is actually exactly what I was expecting. This is pretty much what I've always expected from Call of Duty, more or less now, because... Not because Call of Duty isn't necessarily a bad series, but just because it's not exactly the most innovative thing to hit the market, and it's definitely showing its age with every repetition, every year. Assassin's Creed surprised me last year with... Assassin's Creed surprised me last year with 4 being really cool and interesting. This, on the other hand, is a bit generic and just not fun. So... It's just some guy camping here. Oh, spawn camping. That's actually interesting. Was that me that he killed? Well, that was odd. Alright then. I'm not going to pretend to understand what happened there. Instead, I'll just say, yeah, the game is still a bit buggy. And just a nuke. There are nukes in this game. And I have actually seen multiple hackers, so hacking is worse than it was in Black Ops, in my opinion. That's always a fun thing, but other than that, there's not much else I have to say about this game. Right now, go try it out if you want to. It's free out for the weekend, as I've said before. $30 is it worth it? Maybe if you really, really enjoy it, or you just haven't played Call of Duty before. Otherwise, I'd say waiting for Titanfall, it's a better game. Or get Battlefield 4, it's a better game. Or get Black Ops 2, it's a better game. But anyways, like this video if you happen to enjoy it, and favorite it if you just enjoyed it that much. It definitely helps the channel out and spreads the news for everybody. And be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all of my future content, and the other video that I'll be doing, which will just be me messing around in Call of Duty, which is probably more entertaining than this will be. But anyways, until next time, this is Triple Helix, signing off.